What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kryptonite. Be your own bank, guys. It's time for us to take back our financial power and start doing what the banks do, which is taking our crypto, putting it on chain, putting it in our private wallets that only we have access to, possibly lending it out to trading pools and staking, and being involved in the process of just making cryptocurrency more secure, and lending out our money to people who want to trade and people who want to borrow for whatever reason. Or if you or someone who wants to borrow, it's up to you guys. That's what I love about crypto. It's giving us the opportunity to be our own banks, to do the things that banks do with our money, but they don't really give us any return for it. But we can just do it ourselves now and get the returns that banks get. So I'm super excited about this, and I love teaching people about it and just learning. And I love to trade as well, and just invest and look at altcoins and just try to find good projects. And I just love it, guys. I love analyzing, and that's what we're here to learn on this channel. So I'm gonna go through. We're gonna do some Bitcoin technical analysis, and then I have some altcoins that I'm gonna show you kind of my thoughts on them, and maybe is it a good time to buy or not. As a warning, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research. I'm just a random dude on YouTube who is, talking about crypto. So take with that what you will. So first off, guys, let's take a look at the Bitcoin price on the monthly chart, which is what I have up here right now. And we might be potentially breaking all-time highs on this video, right? We're about, how far are we away? We're probably about, $1,000 from a new all-time high in Bitcoin. Pretty exciting stuff. I'm a bit torn as a technical analyst due to what I've mentioned on my previous videos, which is on a lot of exchanges, we are seeing that the volume is really not, I don't think, matching the price action. These just massive, this is probably one of the most massive bars we've ever had in Bitcoin. And just seeing like how little volume is associated with these, at least on exchanges, definitely gives me pause, because I do use volume profile analysis as one of my main, trading and investing techniques. And we really should be seeing, with that kind of effort, we should not be seeing these kinds of results. So I'm a little bit more of the belief that a large correction is coming, maybe something similar to what we saw happen right here, which was, I believe, almost like a 30% correction. Oh, where's my little correct? There we go, price range. So obviously, up here, we had a nice correction of like almost 60%. This is not an uncommon thing in Bitcoin to have these big drawdowns. So I would not be surprised to see something similar, somewhere in the range of 30 to 50%. And this volume is not really, again, there should be, with the theory of Wyckoff, effort and result need to be in balance. Right now I'm seeing result, but where's the effort? There's much more effort put into these candles and much different results. So I do see that as a bit of a red flag, in my opinion. Now, I'm not personally going to be selling any of my Bitcoin. I see no reason to ever sell my Bitcoin ever. It's literally one of the hardest assets in the world. 21 million, that's it. Minus all the Bitcoin that will be forever lost in people's wallets who have died and weren't able to pass on their keys, or who just lost their keys, or for whatever reason. There's a lot of Bitcoin that will never be recovered. So there's really a lot less than 21 million truly available. So yeah, it's less than that. It's a harder asset than even that. So I don't see no reason to ever sell it. Even if we get a 50% correction, I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to buy more. I see no real upside in selling my Bitcoin. It's just one of the most valuable possible things you can hold. Now, I do think that if you're up on altcoins, you should definitely take profits on those. And then I would just roll those into Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe certain stocks that you really like, or housing. Like those to me are the long-term assets that you want to hold and you want to roll riskier things into. So although I am investing in altcoins, I will be taking profits on most of those as time goes on, and then just rolling those into just increasing my Bitcoin holdings, because that's just the safer, harder asset. Most of these altcoins, once the bear market hits, will lose over 90% of their value. I'll show you with a few altcoins how dramatically they lose value and how quickly they lose value. And even over time, if you look at the Bitcoin versus a lot of these altcoins, they're still losing against Bitcoin over time. So that's why they're good for short trades, like during this market. Okay, hey, look, Bitcoin's going up. A lot of people are going to start taking profits on Bitcoin and rolling them into altcoins. This is where like the altcoin trade happens, right? Where you can make some really good gains on altcoins, but you've got to be taking profits on those. I made a huge mistake this last bull run. I was up huge on multiple altcoins. I did not have the psychology, the training, or the experience to understand that I needed to take profits on almost. I did take a little bit, but there's a lot of altcoins that I just let sit there, and they just dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. And I just kept hoping and hoping and hoping that they would come back, and they never did. And there was a lot of money that I missed out on because of not selling my altcoins. And look, even Bitcoin obviously had quite a drop too, right? But if you look at the long run, which obviously you can't see on this chart, but if you look at the longer, let's see if we can find a chart that's a little bit, as you can see, again, I'll pull up another chart in the future that has a lot more Bitcoin price history, because a lot of these exchanges don't, as you can see, they don't have a long history of Bitcoin. But yeah, it's something that I'm going to be holding for a long time. I'll probably never sell. If anything, I'll probably just take out a safe loan on my Bitcoin. Obviously, anytime you're dealing with leverage is risky, but the richest people in the world do take out leverage on their assets to avoid selling them and creating a taxable event. So it is something that a lot of wise rich people do. So it's not, I think you just have to make sure that your risk of let's say I have one Bitcoin, for example, it's worth $68,000. I'm not going to try to take out I'm not going to try to lend out my Bitcoin and take out like $30,000, $40,000 back, because then my liquidation is going to be probably a lot higher than what, it's a little risky to be taking that much out. But let's say you took out, $10,000 on your $60,000 to use in some other investment vehicle or use for day-to-day expenses. In that case, your liquidation price on that is going to be really, really low. And just highly unlikely that it's ever going to come back down to those prices. So leverage, again, is a risk. I don't think it's for everyone, but there is a lot of very rich people who are very successful with using very safe, manageable leverage to not have to, because let's say you bought Bitcoin here at 16,000, goes up to 70, you sell, that's 50 grand. That's a huge tax, especially if it's probably going to be it's over a year. So maybe you get away with long-term capital gains, but that's still about 15% of that gone immediately to the government from the gains you made. And that's not I wouldn't necessarily. You're still making money. You know what I mean? It's not like you're not making money. So if it's still not a bad decision for a lot of people to just take that profit. You're going to owe the government 15% of it, and just hope that Bitcoin goes back down so you can get some more. But I just don't see the risk of that, right? Like let's say I sold a bunch of Bitcoin right here because I think it's going to come down. But what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong and it maybe it consolidates and then boom, we're up to 100K. I'm going to be like, damn, why did I, maybe in the next bear market, maybe it can come back down and retest. I mean, it does tend to come back and retest the previous all-time high. So maybe in the next bear market, maybe it comes back down to 70,000 to where you can try to get in at that price point again that you got out. But what's the point? I just don't see it's just might as well just hold it and just keep accumulating it. And then if you need money, you can either sell some or you can take out a small bit of leverage against it to use for something that you need to pay for in your regular life. So Yeah. Again, I never say never, guys, because like I said, there could always be a really great investment opportunity that you need a lot of capital for. Maybe you find your dream home and it's at a good price, and if you need to put down 50 grand on it, and shoot, if you took all your Bitcoin profit, I mean, that's understandable. Like, I still think that the return on investment versus a house versus Bitcoin you're going to be better off with the Bitcoin. But I mean, from just a lifestyle perspective, getting into a house, having your own dream home. I mean, there's a lot of you can't really quantify that in money, like the experience of having your own home. That's your dream home, that like blah, 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 right? Like that, you can't quantify that in money. So yes, that return on that house, which historically maybe like 8 to 13% per year, that's nowhere near what the return Bitcoin's going to give you. But man, to have your own home, your dream home that you wake up in every morning, I mean, that you can't quantify that with money. So I do think there are times where it's like, yes, I'm going to take less return here, but I'm getting something that adds a lot of mental health and personal satisfaction to my life that is far, worth the loss and the gains of the asset that has the most gains. So like I, for example, would consider doing something like that, where I could invest this in Bitcoin, or I could invest this in a home and like wake up in my own home every morning, like that's a dream of mine. So that I think you just can't quantify that with money, guys. So I'm not here to say never with those sort of things. I think there's definitely times where you got to make decisions for your mental health and your personal joy and satisfaction, because that's what really matters above just making money, right? So anyway, so if we're looking at Bitcoin here, again, might make a new all-time high. Again, if you look at all these different exchanges, I still see volume decreases kind of across the board, just kind of low volume decreasing there. This is actually the only chart. This is interesting. So this is a Bitcoin futures. So this isn't even really spot Bitcoin. This is just a futures contracts, which are just kind of, they're not real. It's not spot, but investors sort of bet on the price of it essentially. And those volumes are going up. So a lot more investors are trading these fake contracts, if you will. So that's interesting to know. Okay, so the spot volume is not increasing, but people betting on the price of it are, which shows interest. It shows that investors are interested in betting on the price of Bitcoin, right? Maybe not so much buying the spot Bitcoin. You'd like to see a little bit more of that, but it's just interesting. There's definitely interest, right? So here again, volume decline, volume decline again. These are just different exchanges. So from that perspective, I'm thinking like we need a correction here. Like this is just, something is off. Something is really off here. And if you see here, we're also now above, if we look at our volume profile range here for the Bybit chart, we're now above our volume profile. So you see these deviations sometimes, and then you see it come back down and close underneath and then refill the range to the bottom. Again, deviated above, refilled the range to the bottom, even deviated below. So we are kind of like, if we're looking at this, the price of Bitcoin is kind of overdone at this point, right? We're above our range, and we're a bit overheated at this point. So, and the third signal for me, so you got these volume on exchanges, you've got the fact that we're above our volume area, value area high. And then we look at some cryptos, so some specific cryptos, aka the meme coins like Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, which have been just popping off, right? So I was looking at Tron earlier. So we look at Dogecoin, just popped up by quite a big percentage. See if when that actually wants to load for me. Here we go. So Dogecoin had a nice pump here, as well as Shiba Inu, which I think even had a bigger pump, 230%. This one hadn't even, So this to me is scary. As an investor, when I see meme coins like Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, which I don't believe have any real value, honestly. They're kind of like the GameStop, the Nokia, the AMC of the crypto world, right? It's just a bunch of people who are like, let's just freaking jack this price up, right? And a few of them are going to make out millionaires, but vast majority of people are going to lose money in these type of pumps, right? Because these coins just don't have any real like use case. Like no one's really using Shiba Inu other than just to speculate like this, right? No, it's not like a blockchain that is actually being utilized and people are lending money out or like using, regular financial tools or even gaming, right? That's just not happening on these chains. These are just meme coins. So seeing these kind of pumps in the meme coins does also make me feel like, okay, we might be hitting a temporary top here where we are going to see, maybe let's say, for example, one thing, maybe we take the all-time high, right? We get everyone, new all-time high in Bitcoin. All the news comes out, new all-time high. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. A big new bunch of retail investors hear that news. They jump in, and then, we've taken liquidity from the top here, and then bam, maybe we come back down and we get sucked back into our range, right? And then maybe we come all the way back down to this trend line at 40,000, right? It'd probably be more like 50,000 based on like, I don't know if it's how it might come. I mean, it could come down pretty dramatic, right? One pump up, pump down can tend to happen pretty dramatically too. So, say we come down, boom, maybe 40,000, right? Take that liquidity, trap a bunch of retail investors, come back down, fill the range. That's one scenario I definitely could potentially see playing out. The one thing that gives me pause is, I showed you all those exchanges that have low volumes on this whole move up, which should have a lot higher volumes. But I did decide, I was like, hey, I'm going to look at some of the ETFs to see what was going on there, right? And so we look at ProShares ETF, massive volume. Look at the Fidelity, massive volume. Look at this is another ETF, massive volume. So when we look at the ETFs, these are what are creating the demand. Now the question is, these institutions that are investing here, how are they getting this much spot Bitcoin, and how is it not showing up on the exchanges? That makes me think that they're not getting it from the exchanges. I'm not sure. I can't even tell you how they're getting it. Like maybe they're buying direct from the miners. Maybe, like, I honestly, it kind of boggles my mind a little bit. Like, okay, they're obviously getting this. They didn't have spot Bitcoin before. Okay, so they were accumulating, but where were they accumulating? Was it a dark pool? Are they going to these are the exchanges that maybe the average like retail investor uses, Bybit, Coinbase, Bitstamp, right? Like, average investors use those. But I feel like institutions are not. There's some other way they're getting the spot Bitcoin they want. And I wish I could tell you how. I don't know how, but seeing these volumes on the ETFs do kind of make me go, man, maybe I cannot rely on my volume price analysis on the exchanges, because maybe if they're getting this Bitcoin other ways that's not showing up on exchanges, then any volume on exchanges is going to be just irrelevant information, right? It's going to be just false information. And so I'm going to keep thinking, there's a correction coming. But I think all this is telling me is that retail investors have not re-entered the space, right? Retail investors these exchanges would be popping off if retail investors were more involved. They're clearly not. Investors, the big hats, they're driving all the volume here. So in my opinion, like, this is a bit of an uncharted territory for me in terms of just knowing what to do from a technical analyst perspective, because normally I would use the exchange's info and I would see something like this and I would, be looking for shorts and taking profits, because there's just no way that amount of result and the effort are just in so disagreement. But again, institutions don't always have to play by the rules that the normal retail investor does. So once you see the retail investors get involved, you will see some more parabolic type moves, but then you also could know that, hey, we're maybe kind of nearing that top, right? Because once all the retail's in, that's when all the big investors are out, and that's when we'll see the next, big correction and the next bear market for Bitcoin. So yeah, this is like confusing for me, honestly. I've been trading for a few years now, but I can't say I've seen, this is the first time we've had this type of institutional investment in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies before. So this is very new to me. I'm not quite sure how to handle it, to be honest. That's why I'm just like, well, I'm just going to keep holding my Bitcoin, and any dips we do get, like if we came back to this trend line, like I would be picking up more. Here's with Lux Algo that I use here, let's say this, we do get a correction and this blue wave comes in, and that's a good point to, if that hit the blue wave, I'd be probably accumulating some more. But I don't feel safe selling anything because these institutions are just driving so much demand that this thing could just keep going. It could. Like, I don't want to take that risk of being caught out with no Bitcoin because I was like, it'll come back down, and then I sold some and then it never did, or not much, right? So definitely uncharted waters, uncharted territories for Bitcoin specifically. No ETFs yet for Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies yet, so I think we can trust the exchange numbers a little bit more on those. But yeah, guys, it's pretty crazy. Almost new all-time high for Bitcoin. That's crazy. Let's take a look at some altcoins that I've been looking at, guys. I do believe this is kind of the time, again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, that as if Bitcoin does get a consolidation phase or even does see a correction, I do think you will see profits roll. I don't think you will see altcoins tank too hard. They will drop a little bit, I think, if Bitcoin does see a bigger correction. But I think that people tend to, in this part of the cycle, people tend to start taking their profits on Bitcoin and then rolling them over into, they have more money now, so they feel like they can take more risk. The halving's coming up, so a lot of people will be taking profit here and then, putting some money in some more speculative bets. So I even if Bitcoin does correct, I don't see the altcoins really tanking super hard. I think that, in fact, some might actually start to pop off once Bitcoin starts to correct, as we see the transition of those trades. So a couple of the cryptos I'm looking at, ADA, I've talked about on this channel, is one of my favorite cryptocurrencies. It's not sexy. It's not, the Solana with airdrops. It's not these sexy venture capitalist blockchains. It's just a very strong, decentralized community where the majority of the tokens were just released to the public. They're not in the hands of the venture capitalists who can just dump on the market. It's not really about the hype. It's not really about the, ADA's aiming to be just like a good financial instrument, right? And retail's big into the airdrops and the fancy advertising and to the moon. Like, that's retail's into that. What institutions are into are for example, a person in the retail space, they want to make 100x gains, right? And so if that means investing in GameStop or pumping Shiba Inu or going real risk, that's what the retail investor's attempting to do, right? If we look at the big players, the big fish, the big investors, they already have a lot of money. They don't need 100x returns. So they're going to look for instruments where they can get 5 to 15% return. Because that's all they need. They don't need these crazy gains. They already have a lot of money. They just need a safe return that they can count on. And so I feel like a blockchain like Cardano is kind of more aimed towards those kind of people. It's not going to be a big, gaming and stuff. It does have NFTs, it does have that kind of stuff on the chain, but it's aiming to be more, hey, look, low transaction fees, which is nice. That is a little more geared towards retail, I'd say. But hey, it's just a solid place with solid financial instruments in terms of lending protocols, and to me, that's what I'm most into. Is, hey, there's always people in this world who want to borrow money, and there's always people in this world who want to trade. Can I take my money, lend it out on the blockchain via smart contracts to where I can make money off other people trading, off other people, maybe they are using NFTs. I'm going to, make money off those transaction fees, right? That's the stuff that I'm into, more of the fundamental, what's actually making money, what's actually producing value. And yeah, it's going to be not as good a return, but it's going to still be plenty adequate in the long run. So look at Cardano here. You can see that it's still a good buying opportunity here. I just picked up some around 66 cents. I picked up, I won't say exactly how much, but I picked up some Cardano. And again, we had this kind of bear market range here that we've broken out of with, nice volume showing that, it looks like the bear market. I'm probably going to be investing more because I think there's just huge upside here for this project. Has a strong community, has, different investment, protocols and financial instruments to use on it. It's not sexy. It's not that, but I'd rather go for the more fundamental chain that is building slowly and more sustainably. And I think it's like one of the more similar things to Bitcoin. Obviously, it's lacking the proof of work, which I think makes Bitcoin like king above all cryptos. All these other cryptos, a lot of them are like proof of stake. And it's just not the same, guys. Like, I hate to tell you, proof of stake is, is it still okay? Yeah, but you can still get essentially a network takeover by a few large players who just own more of the money and can stake more, and they're going to be able to change the network via voting and Bitcoin, because of the proof of work, the nature of the proof of work. You unless you can somehow harness all the world's energy and somehow, if you have if you're a country and you have global domination and you have access to all energy resources across the globe, at that point you can control the Bitcoin network because you'll have access to all the energy. And you need that proof of work, that proof of energy to produce a Bitcoin block. So, could happen one day, but as of now, doesn't look like anyone's going to dominate the world anytime soon to be able to then have enough energy to change the Bitcoin network, right? With proof of stake, it's a lot easier. Like I said, maybe a few big players, like Ethereum even. I think there's like 8 big players that have a majority of the staking in Ethereum. And yeah, eight different, companies. That's kind of spread out. Like, at least it's not just one company that owns it all. I mean, at least like 8 different companies can kind of agree, disagree, block each other, that kind of stuff. But I mean, you never know. Like, consolidation can happen, right? That's why in our government we have laws against, companies. Like, we block mergers, right? Our government blocks mergers, which is actually one of the few things that our governments do that I actually approve of. I feel like most of the time, government just wastes a lot of money, a lot of time on stuff that's just not important. But there's one thing that I'm like, yeah, it's a good thing that we have this in place. It's blocking of certain mergers and stuff because, you do get a monopoly on certain products. If just like one company owns all the companies to make oil, they can obviously jack up the price of oil because, like, where else are you going to get it, right? They bought out the competition. So that's kind of what could happen with some of these like proof of stake chains. So Cardano will never be Bitcoin due to it being proof of stake. It will always be behind Bitcoin in that regard. But I do like, again, the tokenomics, how it has been released to the public, and just how they're building slowly and fundamentally. So I will look to try to pick up some more ADA here soon. I just think is it going to produce the type of returns that Shiba Inu or Doge might produce if you buy at the right time, or some, low cap coin down here? No. If you get lucky and you hit on one of these ones down here, which again, I will be looking into some coins down here and investing a small amount, right? A low risk amount on some of these coins down here, and I'll make videos about these and which ones I'm looking at, because I do think that there's some risks worth taking. Small risks worth taking on some of these to see if they, blow up. But I still think that the returns from a Cardano are going to be just fine for like what I'm interested in terms of, my goals and such. So I don't need 100x return. Would it be nice? Sure, of course, but I don't need it. I'd much rather invest in something. 'Cause look at this upside. We hit almost $3 last bull run. I mean, we're only at 77 cents. So that's just the way I'm thinking. Again, not sexy, but I'm not into the sexy, right? I want long-term sustainable growth. So I've kind of have these like ranked a little bit here, just to kind of for my own kind of ones I'm currently thinking are like good buying opportunities. So next one's gonna be XRP. Once again, not sexy. Kind of, I'm not even actually a big XRP fan, to be honest at all. Like this is definitely more of a trade for me as opposed to an investment long term. I'm just not a big fan of Ripple. I think they kind of slightly goes against what crypto is supposed to be, which is like away from the banking system, but Ripple is kind of partnered with the banks in a way to where I'm like, well, why? Banks are not fans of crypto because we're doing the stuff that they do and we're taking business from them. Why would they be happy about crypto or want to be involved in crypto, right? It just makes it kind of sketchy. Kind of reminds me of the Sam Bankman-Fried when I was like, well, why is a liberal into crypto and supporting it? Like they're going to be way anti-crypto because they don't want decentralized control of the money system. They want centralized control of the money system. Why is Sam Bankman-Fried into this? Oh, it turns out he was a big scammer, stole a bunch of people's money, sent it all to Democratic candidates. So there you go. Obviously, XRP is different than that, but it doesn't have quite the same central point of failure as Sam Bankman-Fried and his exchange had. But again, something as like a trade, I do think that has a good chance of it. Did just pop up to $1 once the news came out about the case that they won, and it is still at a good buying point compared to its all-time high. And just again, it's more of a safer one, not going to be massive returns, but just a safer pick. Third on the list for me is going to be BNB. Looks like the opportunity may have been kind of missed here. As you can see, we've already had a pretty big pump above our kind of bear market range. So, and of course, it's just a more expensive one, so the gain is going to be a lot less. But again, Binance is a very trusted exchange, and exchanges make money, guys. Like exchange coins, they're not sexy, but they make money because people want to exchange and people want to speculate. So where are they going to go? They're going to go to Binance. They're going to go to crypto.com, which I'll cover here in a bit. They want to go to Bybit. They want to go to exchanges because they want a place to exchange and speculate. People are always going to want to do that. So exchange investments are good investments because they're companies that have a product and a service they provide that people want and people will pay for. So not sexy, not 100x gains, but steady, producing good companies, product, service, demand, right? Simple as that. So even though seems a little late, I might try to wait to see if maybe we pull back to maybe this blue wave coming down. Like as it comes up, maybe we'll look at a retracement into it. I am looking to try to pick up some BNB, hopefully on a little bit of a pullback at some point here, or not. I might just have to say I missed it a little bit, but it's okay. You're never going to catch the exact bottom, never going to catch the exact top. You got to make the chunks in the middle. And then another one I really like, I do like crypto.com. Once again, this is an exchange play. Crypto.com is an exchange. They are really good with advertising. They literally own crypto.com arena, which is where the Lakers play. Crap, I should know that. So, they've got name power. They literally are crypto.com. Like if anyone had the best possible domain, it's crypto.com. Like literally they're like, oh, what should we call our domain? Why don't we call it crypto.com? Like, wait, no one else has that already? I guess not. All right, sure. So just in terms of just like the name, it's like, that was smart, crypto.com. And shoot, it's already pumped a little bit because I was actually going to try to pick some up here on 14, and it's already kind of pumping here as we speak, unfortunately. So I might have to, I don't want to like FOMO into it necessarily, but I did have a plan that I was going to buy some today. And of course it's pumping right before I'm going to buy it. You freaking frustrating, but again, you can't catch the exact bottoms. It's whatever. So, but again, I think it's a good exchange. It's an exchange I've used for a long time. They do well with advertising. People like exchanges, This is a crypto play, but more of a stock play. So this was something I got in on really early. This is one of my best investments I've had. I was buying shares anywhere from around 70 to 90. I was accumulating shares right in here because I had heard that BlackRock, for example, was going to use USDC and Coinbase as one of their main sort of ways to sort of set up the ETF, right? So I was like, well, shoot, there's about to be a lot of institutional money and investment going into Coinbase. It's a solid exchange. It's one of the most well-known exchanges. It's good advertising. It's got some solid people running it. So like, I was accumulating here. We came up here. I sold a little bit. I accumulated on this retracement. I did sell a little bit more right around here, around 200, which I kind of regret now because it just keeps pumping. But, I took profit. I made some money. So I'm hoping for, another retracement here soon to try to pick up some more, but we'll see. As you can see, we did kind of come into this range here. We did kind of pop back in it, but we are currently getting resistance right now from the point of control of this previous range. So a lot of times you get into these ranges and they tend to fill to the top. So the top of this range, 285. So if it kind of can stay up above and not get rejected immediately by the POC and fall out of the range, say it kind of consolidates here at the bottom of this range, could be a good buying opportunity to push up to the top of the range, which would be around 280. So that wouldn't be a trade idea, something I'm going to be looking into, depending on if we're able to hold this value area low as support for a little bit. But one of my better investments for sure. Super excited about that. Dang it, crypto, stop pumping. I need to buy some of you later, but not right now. Not when you're pumping like this, you freaking jerk. Dang it. Oh well. Again, Solana I was looking at, as you can see, definitely somewhat missed the boat on that one. I mean, it was all the way down to $10, $8, craziness. Solana's like, even though it's more venture capitalist kind of thing, I mean, they still have some nice projects on there. It still is a good blockchain. It's fast. They have really cool projects like HNT, which I invested in way back when, which they're trying to create like a cell phone, like a decentralized cell phone network that I believe is active right now. You can actually buy a cell phone like data package from Helium, and I think it's like $20 a month or something. I haven't done it because I have like a pretty good deal on my carrier right now, but it's something I would definitely consider trying, considering I have mined, Helium myself. It used to be on its own blockchain. They pivoted and realized like it wasn't going to work, so they actually transferred over to the Solana blockchain. Oh, interesting. This is actually news I didn't know. Interesting. So this was, oh yeah, here we go. So this was when it migrated to Solana. So that's a really cool project and a really cool idea and something that people might actually use. So, again, Solana has some like good projects. It has some stuff people actually do use. They even have their own phone, I believe, their own smartphone. So it's not a bad investment. Obviously, we're a little late to it. Maybe buying on a retracement if possible. But it's, again, to me, it's nowhere near. I'm still much more of a fan. I think Cardano has a lot more long-term potential. Bitcoin, Ethereum have a lot more long-term potential than Solana. I could definitely see Solana, maybe in 10 years, maybe it's not in the top 10 anymore. I wouldn't be totally surprised, It's a company, they're trying things, but there's a lot of central point of failure with Solana, and I think there's only like a few. It's even more, I'd say, centralized than Ethereum in terms of the validators. There's only a couple validators. And so if there's only a couple validators, I mean, then someone at the top can be like, hey, you 4 validators, do what I say or else. And, they're probably going to listen to them. So I like to see a little bit more decentralization, but doesn't mean it can't work, guys. Doesn't mean it can't work. I guess, I should have listened to this one a little higher. Matic, actually, if you look at Matic, it's actually, I've used Matic a lot, actually, for both gaming purposes and just it's easy to transact with. I've used pools and stuff, and so actually looking at this, I didn't realize I might bump this one up here over Solana in terms of buying opportunity because it's still in its bear market range. And again, it's something that I've used personally. I think people will use. Easy to transact with. Pretty good blockchain, honestly. So yeah, I just saw this just now. I didn't even realize. So I might be looking at some. I do have some Matic pools, I think, but I might look to increase my pools of some of these different cryptocurrencies. So those are a few of my kind of favorites in terms of the altcoins and kind of where I see things going. I do hope for a correction soon, though. Oh my gosh, 326% now. Sheesh, guys, this is crazy. This thing is absolutely pumping. Oh my gosh. That's wild. That's absolutely wild, guys. Someone's making money. Someone's making a lot of money on that right now. Good for them. Good for them. Yeah, I was trying to think what else I wanted to share with you guys today. There was some other news that I was going to bring up here. Oh, I thought this was a really interesting article I wanted to share. So we're talking about fiat currency versus Bitcoin. And it's kind of crazy that, let's see if I can find the notes that I saw. So if we're like comparing, if we're making Bitcoin its own currency, which it essentially is, it's its own currency. It just isn't owned by like a specific country, essentially. You know, it would be one of the top currencies in the world, even just right now, right? Which I don't even think Bitcoin's like really that well known yet, but it's crazy that, yeah, the euro's only worth. So technically it's so right now Bitcoin is the 12th highest like currency worldwide, just in all the different fiat currencies. It's crazy, right? For example, this is what you need: 2.7 trillion Icelandic krona. You'd only be able to buy 1.5% of the current total supply of Bitcoin at its current prices. So if you took an entire country and you took all the money they have, some of these countries, like the countries like, everyone, give us all your money right now. We're going to buy Bitcoin with it. They'd only be able to get 1.5 of the current supply. An entire country. It's crazy. If it hits 100K, it's going to be between the 7th and 8th most valuable currency. And I do believe, I'm going to say this with conviction, I do believe that at some point in time, Bitcoin will be number one in terms of currencies in the world, for one simple reason: no central point of failure. The US dollar has a central point of failure. We have a centralized Federal Reserve. They can kill the currency. They will kill the currency. They have to kill the currency to keep the system going. That's a whole other thing I actually learned recently today. I always sort of thought that if, they just stopped debasing the currency, then we could, pay off our debts and things will go back. But actually, from a source I trust, and I still honestly my brain is like, how is this possible? If the U.S. were to stop debasing the currency today, based on the technology improvements and stuff, and I don't know if I even 100% believe this yet because I don't understand it yet, but he was making the point that if they stopped debasing the currency, then our debt would actually increase even faster. Which I was like, how? I still don't understand how that's possible, but I really trust this person, so it's hard for me to disagree with him. But it's just crazy that our government sort of has to debase the currency in order to even just like things not to collapse. They have to debase it, right? So that, and again, the U.S. central point of failure, right? A lot of these other countries, they're central points of failure. They have governments, they have centralized authority and power that will, probably debase their own currencies at some point. And as the world continuously, revolves every 100 years, look at a map, it's different countries are in different locations and have different lands because there's been wars fought and lands transitioned and new currencies, and right, that's just the way the world has worked. But Bitcoin, again, there's no central point of failure. It is globally owned by everyone. It's energy. It's global energy. So if there's no central point of failure, and unless world domination happens, no one can actually harness that energy to make any changes on the network, then Bitcoin will be the number one currency in the world at some point in time in the future. Unless, again, there could be some other technological advance with some other cryptocurrency that is able to do Bitcoin better than Bitcoin. That is probably one of the risks, I guess, is like Bitcoin is this technology, but maybe someone can do Bitcoin better than Bitcoin is currently done. That's a possibility. And at that point, Bitcoin might have some competition in terms of, and you see a lot of these other cryptos. I mean, essentially that's Bitcoin's competition, these other cryptocurrencies, but a vast majority of them are proof of stake, not proof of work. That already means they're not going to touch Bitcoin. Whatever currency, it have to be proof of work in order to even have a chance of touching Bitcoin. And at that point, if you're just creating another Bitcoin, well, people are just going to go with the original Bitcoin. People aren't going to buy the new Bitcoin that's the same thing, right? You'd have to find some way to both allow it to be proof of work and contain some of the other fundamental principles of Bitcoin, but somehow be better in some way. You know, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Someone could do it. So until that happens, I think Bitcoin's going to be on top. It also takes a very like selfless person or group who decides like, okay, we've created this new blockchain or cryptocurrency, and now we're going to give it away to where we don't have any power anymore, right? That's a very selfless move to do that. Not very many people are going to want to do that because they want control over the thing they created. Understandably so. I don't blame anybody for creating a company and wanting control over it because you created it. It's your baby. Not many people are going to be like, just give it away to the people. See what happens, you know. It's a ballsy move. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Bitcoin. Is it going to break? Oh, we're getting close. We're getting a little resistance up there. Take a look on the smaller time frame, see if we got anything going on. Oh, big old candle. A little less volume than before. But money flow is looking nice and strong on the daily. Nice daily candle with volume. So no real crazy signs of weakness. If anything, just probably more consolidation. Looks like volume on each one of these candles. Man. Yeah, it's tough to see any real signs of weakness at this point. Even on the shorter time frames. Still getting a lot of volume. These pushes up. I did, full transparency, I did take a trade. I did take a short position because we deviated from our range, and we had a huge high volume doji candle, which can sometimes be a sign of a change in trend, at least temporarily. So I did take a chance. There's also a divergence as well, big old divergence on this move. So I took a risk, took a chance that maybe it would come back into the range, come back down to the bottom, but that trade failed and I was stopped out. And it is what it is. You take some chances and you make sure you have a stop loss and wait for the next opportunity. So that's the mentality you got to have. All right, so I got for you. My voice is starting to run dry here, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and I will hopefully be back tomorrow with another one, more update on Bitcoin, and hopefully cusp stops pumping, so I can actually buy it at a better price. Ugh. That's frustrating, very frustrating. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.